Hello YouTube, this is David of Liberty Guys. What I want to talk about today is the whole debacle in Colorado. Alright, we're all operating on limited information. The news tells you what they want you to hear, and they're coordinating it with the local law enforcement so that you're only fed certain information to basically paint a picture in your mind of what's going on. Now, there's no doubt that this wacko basically is just that, a wacko. But don't take the Fox News and the CNN and all that at face value. They're already starting to thump their chest about high capacity magazine bans. It's already happening. That's not going to stop this sort of thing. There's already countless millions of AR-15 30-round magazines floating around in this country. Countless millions, okay? There's so many contract mags that our wonderful government has had made that they can't count them anymore, all right? There's no point in legislation. The problem is the American people as a whole have been, the word ain't dumbed down. It ain't that. They're plenty intelligent. No, they've been lulled into a false sense of security, I guess would be a better, way of phrasing it. The people of this country don't think bad things can happen here. It's like they're in denial. They don't think they can die. It's like they don't accept that death is a part of life. But one person got out of this alive, and that was Enoch. Even Christ had to die. So, with that, people need to wake up and understand that, the world is not this happy-go-lucky place with people frolicking through fields and carrying flowers, and it's all happy and joyful. No, there's bad people in this world. There's people with an axe to grind. There's people that ain't right in their right mind and have been able to conceal it for a long time. There's people that have drug-induced mental deficiencies. There's people that get illegal drugs and take them, and it warps their mind, and they think they think in a different reality. They believe that things are different. There's just people that are mean, straight mean. All right, that whole nature of human is good thing. Yeah, by and large, there's just some people out there that, for lack of a better term, just need killing. Okay? I ain't the person to decide that. But as far as society is concerned, banning guns ain't going to fix this mess. Okay? Now, I have a different opinion on how you would fix this mess. Okay? Had everybody in that movie theater been armed, things would have went very differently yesterday. Okay? So, I'm almost certain that you would have found a gunman with 1,833 bullet holes in him, and a lot less dead people. The only problem you run into with an armed society that's armed as a whole is crossing lanes of fire and you not observing the 4 rules of firearm safety. And rule number 4, which is knowing your target and what lies beyond it. You're responsible for that bullet from the moment it originates in your gun until it terminates at its ultimate destination where it stops moving. All right? And then if a little kid picks it up and chokes on it, you're still not responsible. So, the only problem that would have been possible there would have been overlapping fields of fire and people possibly shooting each other, wanting to kill this piece of crap that done that to them. All right, but had people observed the 4 rules of firearm safety, there would have been somebody that could have been in a position to engage this individual. So I feel sorry for the people in Colorado. I really do, but. It's not the government's fault this happened, okay? The government doesn't have a duty to protect you. I don't know why people think they do. Federal government has a duty to protect our border, but they don't have a duty to protect the individuals inside the country. And I have talked to numerous law enforcement officials, and the best I can get it is they have no requirement to protect you. They have a requirement to enforce the law. Now, if that happens to protect you in the as a byproduct of enforcing the law, then so be it. But their job isn't to protect you; it's actually to enforce the law. So it's up to you to protect yourself. All right, I take that very seriously. I have yet to see an armed attack team defending a restaurant in this country ever. At all. Okay? They put this silly little sign on the door that says, "We don't allow firearms per this such and such code." Alright, you're not supposed to go in that restaurant because of the correct statutory markings on the building. Then that tells me that they're going to provide adequate security to protect me and my family if I go in there, because I have to disarm myself to do it. What that usually means is one of two things is going to happen. Either I'll be forced to carry illegally into their premises so I can protect myself and my family, or I just don't eat there. I usually pick B. I go somewhere else, because I'm not going to rely on someone else to do a job that's mine to do. I mean, you're responsible for your own security and safety. Now, your children, they're your responsibility for security and safety. So, the kid that can't carry a gun, well, I disagree with some of that. I've seen 12-year-old girls that can handle firearms better than 30-year-old men. Okay? It's all in your upbringing and instruction and, mindset. So, in all honesty, I don't think age has anything to do with it. If they're competent and capable, it's just like ham radio licenses. I don't think there should be an age requirement. The government somehow thinks that magically when you turn 18 years old instead of 17 years and 364 days, you magically step into this responsibility mode, and it makes you where you are capable of owning long guns. And then when you magically turn 21, some fairy with a magic wand waves it over your head and you become responsible enough to carry firearms that are this big instead of this big. Yeah, now, think about the rationale behind that. At 18 years of age, you can go buy an AR-15 and 30-round magazines, and shoots .223 Remington, plenty powerful, shoots several hundred yards. You can go buy that over the counter. But you can't have a .22 target pistol that'll only shoot, a couple hundred yards on a good day, and genuinely with lethality less than that until you're 21. It's just backwards from from reasonable thinking. But they're trying to quantify an age and say that at this point in your life you're magically responsible enough to do this. It ain't true. Okay. They just had to come up with a number for legislative purposes, because in 1968, apparently there was some crap that happened, and they passed some feel-good legislation that said, okay, you got to be this old to buy this kind of gun. It's kind of jacked up. But we're stuck with it, and until I can figure out how to change legislature, I don't know how to fix it. So you do the best you can with what you got. But these people in Colorado, I feel really sorry for them, and me and my family will pray that their pain will be eased through time, and that the person that committed these horrible atrocities will be brought to justice. Of course, he'll have to stand before God, and it may not be pretty when he does that. So, all of that's out of our hands. But people need to take security for themselves seriously. This is not an isolated incident. Of course, one of this magnitude is kind of isolated. But people get shot every day in the country, in the cities, in the boroughs, everywhere. People get shot and killed, stabbed. They get hit by cars. They get all kinds of things that happen to them. And people they want to live in this world of denial that don't happen in the United States, but it does. I mean, pull up the murder rates for Atlanta, Georgia. I bet already this year they've had 300 or 400. You know, pull up the murder rates for Chicago, Illinois. It's going to be just the same way, several hundred. You know, New York, where you can't even get guns, technically, it's going to have, I guarantee you, there's a column that's murders by shootings. Even though you ain't supposed to be able to have handguns in New York, there'll be a column on that spreadsheet that'll say murders by shooting, you know, shooting deaths. You know, it just goes to prove that it's all a fallacy. You know, that the laws are a fallacy. They're just there to make you feel good. They don't do any genuine good for anybody. It just makes my brain hurt to have to come to grips with the fact that there's people that genuinely don't want to take responsibility for their own actions. You know, they want to put their fate in the hands of others, and it's just, I just don't understand it. But if you've got any comments, you know, post them below and we'll talk about it. I'm gonna get back here as quick as I can with some more content to give you some more food for thought, and you know, give you something to think on, and you know, trying to come up with a legitimate reason why nobody else in that theater had a firearm. Why did nobody else have a way of defending themselves against that dumbass? Excuse my language, but it just makes me mad. Why? Where was the other gun owners? Where was the, you know, in a theater on a premiere, there should have been hundreds of defensive firearms in that building. Hundreds. And there was zero, because all of the good people were obeying the rules. See how that works? I'm just ranting at this point. This ain't getting anywhere. But, you know, think about that. The good people obey the rules. You see what happens to the good people. It makes people not care anymore. You know, it does. You know, I can see it. But if you can come up with a good reason why people shouldn't be allowed to carry firearms in the movie theater now, I want to hear it. I'd like to hear one good reason, because there's 14 people right now that wish they had a gun, and there's about 50 more that probably wish they had guns, because I've done read the news report that said 14 were dead. I guarantee you every one of them wished they had a gun when it was going on. All of them. Not one of them wished they were unarmed at that point in their lives. Not one of them. So, if you can come up with a good reason to not be responsible for your own security and safety, I want to hear it. I've got to know. There's got to be a good reason. So, with that, you keep your powder dry. This is Dave with Liberty Guys. We'll see you.